Welcome, sisters, supporters, and sponsors to the Lirae Journey podcast. I'm Hannah, and this is my co-host.
Hey y'all, welcome back. So for season 2, our theme is To and From Black Women on Healing, Wellness, and Care. We will have sister circle conversations with Black women from various stages of life in various personal, community, and professional roles. The aim of this season is to start and continue conversations on the meanings, experiences, and practices of healing, wellness, and care.
Also, what's new for season 2 is it is a video and audio podcast. So check us out and subscribe to our YouTube channel if you prefer video podcasts. And wherever you're engaged with the podcast, be sure to comment, like, rate, and follow. Last season, we had conversations with Black women entrepreneurs and business owners. So if you're looking to start or expand your business, be sure to binge season 1, where we talk with business owners and share their reflections and building and expanding their businesses during the pandemic, and as well as how their sister circles help their growth and process.
So thank you again for being a part of our digital sister circle. So as we often say, it's good to see you, sis. So before we begin, Hannah, how are you doing? How's your weekend going?
Pretty good. Busy getting ready. I have a show coming up next week for my business. So getting the final touches for that. So how about you?
Pretty good as well. I'm grateful that the weather is still nice. So looking forward to being outside. And so I'm really excited to get some fresh air after we finish this session. So today for our Sister Circle conversation, we will be conversing with Dr. 99, Dr. Henderson, the soon-to-be Dr. Sermon, and Dr. Scott. So, Sister Guest, can you briefly state what brings you to this conversation, and also tell us a little bit about yourself?
Hi. Hi, everyone. My name is Kim Scott. Thank you, Sherella, for giving me the title doctor. That is in my future. However, I'm a double master prepared registered nurse leader. I'm from the Golden State of California, Oakland specifically. I've been a registered nurse for about 24 years, and my specialty is leadership. However, when I first started, I was an ER nurse. So grateful for all those on the front line, as that could have been me, for those who over the last 2 years have really given their all in a very scary time. So grateful for healthcare workers. I manage case management programs for chronic conditions like heart failure, cardiac rehab, pulmonary rehab, diabetes, and such. I am a mother. I am a community connector. I have a saying that, community is really common unity. We have more in common than we have that is not. That's different. And my passion is really like mentoring, really in nursing, but overall just mentoring. I really love this sister circle and this platform that you're talking about, sister circles, because we need to be connected. We learn so much from one another. And there has been, I think, a breakdown, from our past generations. And we've lost so much information and knowledge that could have been passed down from our ancestors. And as we know, a lot of our families are broken. So I'm really passionate about us connecting again and really uplifting sisters, because we are so much stronger together than we are apart, and that we really need to learn because it wasn't taught. There's things that I know I do, and I don't know exactly, why I do that, but it hasn't always been about uplifting. And so it's like, that's natural, and we need to get back to promoting one another and really uplifting each other. So I'm so happy to be here with you all.
Hi, I am Tammy Henderson. I am a lecturer, faculty member at the University of Maryland, Baltimore County. I've been there since 2011, I believe. I teach in the Africana Studies department primarily. I'm also an affiliate faculty in gender, women, and sexuality studies. And I am an instructor for the first year experience program as well. So I do a number of different things or do the same thing in a number of different places at the same school. So, and I am also a wife, a mom, to one biological daughter and two bonus step adults. So who I don't really, identify as step, but they're my bonus babies. So I have three children in all. And I am looking forward to what we're gonna do. I don't know what else there. Yeah, I think I'm just looking forward to this conversation.
I'm Dr. Tahira Mahdi, also known as Dr. 99. I'm a community psychologist and also an adjunct professor, entertainment writer, new screenwriter. And I was just really excited about this conversation because I've had the pleasure of speaking with Dr. Cupid on podcasts before. I really admire her push to, really explore sister circles. I enjoy her research and having her talk about it. So my excitement and that is what brought me to this conversation.
Wow, this is such an impressive group. I'm so honored to be here. As Dr. Cupid shared earlier, well, first, my name is Michelle Sermon, and she and I met through UMBC. I took a course there in oral history. As I am a doctoral candidate, finally made it to candidacy and in social work, and looking forward to defend my dissertation sometime in the spring. And really interested in understanding how trauma related to race impacts the experiences of rural Black women, rural Black people in general, but starting with women. So that's my background. I'm from the rural South, North Carolina. And so that's why I'm so interested in having these conversations, especially with other Black women. And Kim, your comments were right on target. I felt everything you were talking about with respect to community, and that common unity was an amazing comment. And so I'm just glad to be here. I'm also a mom of 4 and a wife. And so I have a very busy life. And so these conversations about self-care are different for me. I struggled some with the ideas. I was like, oh wow, what will I say about self-care? Because it's so different from what I think mine is different, but it may not be because I don't often talk about it. So I'm glad to be here and share this time in this space with you all.
So I am a nurse leader. I've been a nurse for 24 years in the San Francisco Bay Area. My current role is service unit manager for Kaiser Permanente in Oakland, California, over chronic conditions. I am a national mentorship chair for the National Black Nurses Association. This year I became an author. I'm a co-author of an anthology called The Diaries of a Resilient Black Nurse. I am a single mom of a brilliant 12-year-old young lady, Sydney, and I'm a daughter. I am a community connector. So happy to be here with you all.
So for part 1 of our conversation, we will discuss self-perspectives and sister circle experiences with our guests. And so the first question, when you hear the theme to and from Black women on wellness, healing, and care, what stands out for you and what comes to mind? And anyone can start.
Well, I'll say when I initially read the title, what struck me was I'm used to hearing, we're on the journey to self-care, but because it's to and from. And so then I had to think, I was like, yeah, I believe that, wellness, care, healing, that title made me think like, all right, we really are, it's a fluid space. Like we're going in and out of, how we are being cared for or how we're caring for ourselves, which I hadn't really thought about until I saw that. And I'm like, yeah, that's true. It's like we're either, in it, coming out of it, doing better to get back into it or something. So that the fluidity of it really struck me. And I think but then it also made me think like, well, like, what does that mean, right? What the implications of like, when you are in and out of, say healing and in and out of care, kind of to and from. And so it just makes you, think about, I think us, right? And how fragile we are because we're never truly kind of, static. And I don't want to say not stable, but there is just, dynamism within that. So I think that was really interesting.
I think I mentioned previously that I struggled with the concept, and I really did try to glean something, and I struggled, and I could not figure out why I struggled. So Dr. Henderson, your explanation was great for me. I saw it, like I saw the fluidity of it, the in and out, and I think that's why I struggled, right? Because I'm a social worker, and we promote self-care as a part of our practice. And but there when you try to define it as and wellness and healing, when you try to define it as this thing, it's not necessarily that thing for everyone. And so you're constantly on this journey of trying to figure out like what works best for me. So I think that that's when you talked about that fluidity, that resonated with me because of I feel like that's where I'm constantly seeking to find that space that belongs to me. And not space in the sense that, it has to be a thing, but what works for me today might not work for me tomorrow, and that's okay, right? So I have it all, y'all. I have the oils, the Epsom salt lavender bath and camera. I have it all. I have the incense and the sage. I'm telling you, I'm doing it all. And today, crystals, I have my bag of crystals. I'm telling you, I do it all. But it's like, I'm still trying to like today, I couldn't find my crystals for so long. And my sister said, well, they say when you can't find them, that means you don't need them anymore. I said, I need them. I just can't find them. I'm going to find my crystals. I did find them. But anyway, I mean, that resonated with me. And Kim, your idea about the continuum, those are just, so thank you for sharing that, because I was struggling, but I appreciated the topic because it made me think and made me ask myself the question, what does this mean to you, and seek to find it. So this space that we're in right now is so valuable to me because you all are helping me to see myself in a different way when it comes to these concepts. So thank you.
I'm glad I wasn't the only one struggling with it. I was like, I don't know. But because reading to and from makes me think I need to go sit down somewhere. And so that led to the rest of the part that was self-care. I'm like, good. But I did start thinking, and I arrived just where you did, Michelle. I was like, what's going to work for me today is not going to work for me tomorrow. Next week, I might be in a totally different space. And I'm also a wife and a mother. I have 2 sons that are not biological. I also don't say step, because I tell them you mine now. So they're teenagers, and learning how to do that. So I didn't get married and gain these 2 teenagers until I was 40. So I had years of learning how to do self-care, but then I had to learn how to care for other people. So I had like the opposite. So now I'm like finding that balance. So self-care I got down, but now I'm just like, oh yeah. Balance with the thing. And yeah, so that's where I am with it. But reading to and from, I'm so glad that I think it was Kim Scott that said like the circle. And I was like, okay, yeah, that's right, to and from, and you get, so just trying to make sure I see it that way and not just immediately feel like I gotta go sit down somewhere.
Thank y'all for sharing that reflection. Both in the introduction, y'all shared a lot about the roles that y'all have. So can y'all share a little bit more about the key roles, whether or not that's personal, communal, or professional, and how do these roles or the intersection thereof impact the way you navigate wellness, healing, and care?
Can I ask a question?
Of course.
Is it just us? Is it just Black women? Is this just our thing? Because I feel like it is. I don't know. I feel like the intersection question, like my research is centered in the Black experience. And so I intentionally try to um, find whiteness and root it out wherever it exists in my research, in the lens in which I'm trying to see Black women in the context of their lived experiences. And so I don't know any other way to understand the world other than that. And so I grew up watching women juggle these intersections and the challenges that come with them. And I'm talking about rural Southern Black women, which is a very different space. I was born in the 70s. And so I came in post integration into these places where, I didn't have any awareness of the integration experience and how that impacted my parents and grandparents and in neighbors and extended family. But it influenced me. And so it was one of those things, you just suck it up and move on. That's what you learn to do. And so I'm just curious. That's why I struggle with these. I struggle with the intersections, and of course, my role as a mom supersedes anything else, and wife. But I don't know that I do it well, and I don't know what that looks like. Is it that, oh, I'm still breathing today? I don't know. Like, what does it look, what's it supposed to feel like? Nobody's like, I don't know. Like Kim said, there's no book. So I don't know what it's supposed to, so I just have to put that out there because that's what I'm sitting with, y'all. So there it is.
Thank you for bringing that up. And just to add to that, bringing up like, what does that look like? And is it just us? I feel like when I struggle now with the question of roles, where it was very clear to me when I was getting my doctorate, and I felt like the graduate student person preparing to be an academic in this type of space, I have to be this certain type of way. And then I was living another life over here, which was the entertainment part of me, the fun part, the stuff that I really like to do. Not that I didn't like research, but I noticed there's this box, there's this way you are as an academic, this is how you do it, this is how you write it. And then I thought, okay, trying to be that person would make not make the racism go away, but I just wasn't expecting it in a grad program, because I was like, if you're this smart, aren't you supposed to be beyond this by now? But they weren't. So once it got clear to me a year into the program that no matter where I am or what I do, somebody's going to have something to say about it, somebody's not going to like it, I chucked all the roles out of the window and I had to integrate myself in order to just do what I had to do. So that even changed the course of my research. It changed my concentration from clinical psychology to community psychology. And since then, since I just kind of, and it was such a stressful process in contemplating ending my life so many times, where I had to go, something's wrong, girl. Like, this ain't normal. So it's like, you know what I'm going to do from this point on? Instead of ending my life, I'm going to live it exactly the way I want to, period. That's just what I'm going to have to do. That meant any roles I found that were separate, nope, this is all me, and I'm going to show up this way in every space that I am. I can't do it any other way. When I'm splitting myself into roles, I don't function. So at this point in life, roles, I can't really answer that question as far as roles anymore.
And just with going off of that, what are some of the activities or hobbies that you guys do to help with healing, wellness, and care, and taking care of yourself?
I like aromatherapy. So I will light candles around the house or incense, put on my diffuser. I do a lot of YouTube. Dr. Henderson, I'm an elder in my church as well. So that the spiritual side, spiritual leader, and living up to that, being an example, but also thank God I'm a part of a church that believes in being real. So I don't have the pressures of trying to uphold an image that I don't have. So I have that freedom. But going to my prayer space and praying, because that's where I get my motivation, inspiration, and faith building is through my relationship with Jesus Christ. And I love to be active, more so now, I think, because I love to be outside and walk, but, putting on YouTube real quick before I leave is much easier to do that. But love to stay active because I know that helps my mood, that helps me mentally to stay sharper. And just getting with friends and laughing. Laughing is so healing to me. I like to be silly and actually like roast my daughter. We'll roast each other, and she'll say, "You stressed out NBNA nurse, leader," and we just crack up with one another, just being silly. So those are some of the activities that I really like to do, and mentoring and coaching.
I too, obviously spiritually, that, I pray that it's super, I need that. Prayer has really been, it has, the more I do it, then the more it has become a part of what I need for care. Not that it wasn't before, but there are sometimes like you can be just saying stuff. And then like the more it's like, oh, I really mean this. Oh, because I got you, God. Okay. So the more I allow the spirit to kind of show up in me and to help me to be who I need to be, and to the point that you make him to be me authentically, and to not, and Tahira, you mentioned this as well, that you're done with roles and you have to show up how you are. One of the ways that God shows up in my life is to just remind me, like, I haven't put any of that stuff on you. I haven't said that. That's what other people say, even in terms of, say, interpretation of, whatever their interpretation of scriptures or the Bible. And it's like, I didn't, that if you read the Bible, I didn't say that. I didn't say, but so always understand what I said versus what someone else is doing. And that has helped me tremendously to walk away from a lot of other people's stuff, and how I envision it in my life, how I envision it in my family's life. But as I mentioned, I have a therapist. I also, I walk a lot. I walk, if I can't do it every day, certainly most days during the week. I found that one of the things I did, I challenged myself a while ago, but I didn't really kind of like do it didn't kick in until the summer. Whereas like I really wanted to see what my body could do. And I wanted to see like just how strong my body was and what it would do for me. And so I began walking, and and not only did it, bless me kind of physically to walk, but mentally and emotionally, it's been, so helpful. And one of the things that, the great tips I got from my therapist was to breathe, and to do like, kind of concentrated deep breathing. I was just like, breathe. It's like, everybody does that. But it's like, but it's very different. And it's like, oh, yes, I need, because there are all these little triggers that occur, in my life, maybe no one else's, but definitely in mine. And I have to like, it's like, oh, because I'm going to do something that has nothing to do with God. I'm about to show out. I need to breathe, and I need to get myself. And that has really, breathing, walking, and prayer has really, really been helpful. So those are the things that have really helped me.
This is where I come back to the thing, the to and from. I don't have any consistency about anything. And I think that's my biggest issue. I'll walk a little bit and then I'm done with it. Then I'll breathe a little bit and I'm done with it. Like I can't find consistency. So that's my problem. There are a lot of activities that I find peace in, but I have to be more consistent about doing them. And I don't know why that is. I don't know what that is. I need to get me a therapist. I've been told this for many, many years, but you all know it's really hard to find a good therapist. But you just have to keep at it, and that's my consistent lack of consistency seeking that out and staying engaged in that process. Because, you know, in my mind, I don't have time for that. I need it today because I had too much happening in my life to be, you know, taking all that time out. So anyway, I just have to be more intentional, I think, about picking activities that resonate with me and sticking with them, and maybe I haven't found the right one. I don't know, but I haven't given up. I'm still in it. um so, but I just, for those of us out there who are struggling with the activities of being consistent, because what I know for me, like my sister, her thing is manicure. She'll go get a manicure, pedicure. That's it for her. That doesn't work for me. Like for me, that's, I don't have time for that. I don't have time to sit. Just give me a basic mani pedi and let me go out the door. I don't even want color polish. Just give me clear. I'm out the door. I don't have time. Like that's just, I don't know what that is. I do need to talk to somebody about that, but that's my stuff. Anyway, but so I think, yeah, I think I just have to figure out consistently what works for me. But I am still on the journey and I haven't given up. And so I am intentionally seeking it, and I will find that thing that works for me consistently. And maybe I won't. Maybe it'll just be an eclectic mix of things that work for me today and don't work for me tomorrow. So we'll see. It's a journey.
Thank you, Kim, for uplifting that affirmation. So Dr. 99 and Dr. Lyrical Tay and I also do a Sister Doctor Exhale podcast. And we also have a group chat in which Dr. 99 routinely remind us to be grateful for situations and speak life where oftentimes things may not look as fulfilling. So, you know, as the Bible said, there's power in the tongue. So I really want to admire Dr. 99 for really practicing that and help us other sister scholars to practice that as well. And that connects to our next question, in that, can you share how your sister circle helps you to navigate the management of your healing, your wellness, your care?
You know what, since you brought up our sister circle, that we have the podcast, we have our sister circle, and I'm telling you, I can, you know, it's just such a source of comfort, a source of encouragement. And sometimes, you know how, like, if you have certain types of news to share, you can only share it with this sister circle, or people who just understand the littlest detail of your day, like you know, my salmon didn't come out the way I wanted it to. And just people that go, oh, that's okay. Or, you know, just like the littlest thing. And I just really appreciate my sister circle. You know, if we see anything inspirational, we send it. If it's good morning, Sister Skylar. I mean, just sometimes I'll just be like, I love y'all, just so they know, just so you know, I'm giving and receiving love here, and just telling them how much I appreciate them. Just such a source of, and it's a source of care. So if I'm having a bad day, a bad time, people out here are getting on my nerves, I can go to the phone and be like, these people getting on my nerves, and I can find that comfort. So I really like how technology has allowed that. That's one of the greatest things about, for all that technology has kind of messed with our lives, it is a little bit comforting to be in the middle of a situation that's getting on my nerves, and I can pick up my phone and go into a chat and have two people that I feel like would feel me, or just send me something quick or funny in a moment. So I really appreciate that.
Well, my sister circle, they normalize the chaos for me. And that's so powerful. Like they validate all of the foolishness that happens in a day and they make it okay. We send each other those crazy TikTok videos to laugh about. Like it is. And I think Kim said this earlier, talked about the laughter. And that is, they give me space to laugh about just things that just don't matter. And so that's how they kind of facilitate the healing for me, by normalizing the chaos.
So my sister circle, I have a couple of sister circles, and it depends on, you know, what I'm dealing with is who I would go to. But I think what they provide for me is comfort, that safe place that, you know, you can just throw it on the table and they have familiarity with you, so they can relate. And yeah, and just really let you be you, and even if it's silly, it's okay. So again, I'm gonna come back to that word acceptance, and safety is what my circle provides for me.
Yeah, I love that. It's interesting. I think you know, this one was my biggest struggle question, because I have, I guess, several sisters. Like, I don't have any one main group. I used to have a main group, and then that didn't work for me. And so now I have, you know, say this person is a part, and then over here, and they're not necessarily connected in any way. I'm the only thing that, I'm the only common denominator. Like, so there is no, like, I saw so and so over there. There isn't that. And this is the first time in my life I've actually been in a space like that. Like, I've usually kind of, all the girlfriends have connected at some point, and we've all been able to kind of be, I guess, what looks more like, I guess, a circle. And now it's like I am able to do the to and from, and give and receive, and in more kind of intimate spaces with, say, one individual here. And I think that I think that works. I think that's the whole thing with, like, we got to figure out what works for you. It's working for me. It's very different. And I have to admit, I'm still kind of, because I am so used to, you got the 3 or 4, 5 good girlfriends and everybody. And so, and shifting from that to, having these, almost just pockets of what I need. And so it's really interesting. I think that what it does allow, that, say, the other, say, the larger group didn't allow, and I guess large for the sake of, say, whatever, everybody's connected, with the small kind of, say, the couplings, I'll just say, like, me and one other person, what that allows for more, which goes back to the care, is I can show up fully in the way that I need to show up in that relationship, because, and I can bring, and I guess it's weird, because I guess it seems compartmentalizing. I don't want it to be, I don't need it to be that, but what I do for a living, I can talk to, say, this one person, and this one person really gets it, and I can share, and so, and it's like, yes. But then I can talk, but that person, like the professional person, isn't necessarily my spiritual person. And then I talk to my spiritual person, and that, it's like, yes. And I'm like, yeah. And then I could just talk to these folks that just know me from back, and they like, girl, and we can just, and it has nothing to do with, professional. Of course, spiritual comes in, but they know me, spiritually, but as wife, as mom, as just, good girlfriend. And that works. So I think that it's, all of those things right now are giving me what I need. And I don't necessarily need all those people to come together to, to kind of do something else, to be something, to look some other way. But I do find it like, like, I don't talk to you about that. I don't talk to you, and I get this. So but I do, because I'm approaching 50. I'm not going on 50. So I'm taking the perspective of all of those things. Like, God is showing me something new about myself, something that I wouldn't have gotten here, in that, he can show up in so many different ways that I would not have received if I had been kind of only in this other space. And he can show up here and show me, and here and show me, and here and show me. I'm like, man, Tammy's complicated. So I really like that.
That's awesome. Like, I feel the same way. Each friend provides different things for you, and it's very important to have all different types of friends that can help in any type of way for you. And going on to our next question, what conversations are you not having with your sisters, sister circles or sisters, that you need to have, and what's preventing this conversation?
Well, before you, since I just start, I'll just say this, because having that, is as Hannah was saying, right, having all those different friends, obviously that means you're having different conversations in different,
Right.
in different spaces. And I thought about that question. And there are some things that I can talk about more easily with some people. So I'm not going to lie about that. Everybody, we can't talk about the same thing as freely. And so it depends. It really depends on what the space. But I think one of the biggest challenges is really about mental health. And how I mean, I have a friend who also has a therapist, and that was actually one of the people that inspired me, like, hey, you might need to get you something as well. But I think that there are different levels to that conversation with people, so there's oh, you got a therapist, I got one. But it's like, let's unpack that. That one, that's a little trickier, like in different, and you have to just know, I think that, involves the type of relationship you have with someone. So yeah, I guess, it's like, what are the things that are maybe prohibiting that conversation? I think it's just about, I don't know if anything specifically prohibits it, but I do believe that time in relationship reveals a lot. And so the more you spend time with someone, the more you understand where they are and what they can receive and what you're even willing to receive, right? So I think a lot of things is more so about time and not so much about the topic, but people are in different places and they are not always where you want them to be when you want them to be there. And it's okay, because you right where you supposed, they right where they're supposed to be. So I've learned to kind of be okay with that.
I agree with you, Tammy. When I ponder on this question, I'm just like, okay, it's like you'll say, okay, I know I need to be honest. How honest do I need to be? Right. Um, this kind of ties back into the spiritual realm of having a testimony, right? So we know that people are healed by the hearing of your testimony, you sharing your testimony, and that's usually tied into struggles, failures that you've had, so that you can inspire someone else. And so there's that piece. And then we start getting back into our heads about, okay, then if I share this and they're going to think this, and that goes back to what you said as well, as like, and Dr. 99, like the Bible, the Bible didn't say that. That's you, or that's what, other people's perceptions are. So as I also move towards 50, I begin to care less and less about what other people think and think about the purpose, right? Thinking about my purpose. My purpose is to please God, and all these different ways I can do that. So start to overcome the fear, which are barriers to telling and having those conversations, right? Fear of loss of a relationship, fear of people's perceptions on you, fear of you being mislabeled. Those are all the fears that prevent us from having those conversations, those crucial conversations. And I have kind of three things. One is kind of conversations that I'm not having, maybe with people that I know have been in my life for a long time, and I know they need to change. Like I'm very slow to like say what someone else needs to do. But when you have a history with someone who just keeps hitting their head and they come to you for advice, or they'll tell you a little bit, they want you to give you all the advice, but they haven't told you everything. I have a friend like that. And it's like, do you want to be freed, or do you just want to go through the drama? Because at this point in my life, I don't have the time to play with you, And so it's like, do I really tell her what I really need to tell her and risk our relationship severing because, that person isn't there maturity wise? Or do you kind of hang in there a little longer to see if they'll get there and that they'll really hear and get what you're trying to give them? So one thing could be a conversation you're not having is being real with a person that has a struggle with something, but it's so sensitive and so close that it may change your relationship with them. So, right. So that's one thing. Another big thing is money, having the conversation about money. Me, I've made a lot of it in my life, not a good manager of it. So as a Christian, I should be. I do tithe, and that's helped me. That's helped me. But having more conversations about money, but I'm on my way. I have like a sister circle and someone who talks about money and how to just get better at that. And then deficiencies, insecurities, are conversations. And depending on who it is, I have those conversations with people I really feel safe with. But I also know that if I share a little bit more because of my influence, because of my relationship with some people, that it can help someone. So I would say telling somebody the truth, knowing that it may end your relationship. 2, money is a big one. And then 3 is my own deficiencies and insecurities. To have those conversations, I should be having more.
I would echo that because I really couldn't come up with anything. I am learning it within myself to be transparent, but the insecurities comment, Kim, really stuck out for me because I was taught you don't talk about that kind of stuff. You don't tell people where you're deficient in things, and you don't highlight it for folk. But I think that would be one of the things that I think I don't really talk about in my circle. But when other people do it, it gives me permission to do it. So I'm learning, in the circles in which I operate with other women to do that and to be that because I'm feeling more safe in those spaces. And most of my circles are family, if I'm honest. And I have some outside, but they were friends long time who knew me way before, who know me all my life. Um, and then the other circles are new, and those are the ones that I'm less likely to talk about insecurities or health, our bodies, that kind of thing. But yeah, I think I heard someone say earlier, Kim or Tammy, that it depends. It depends on the circle in which I'm operating in the moment as to what I am not talking about. I don't know, and I don't know that it's appropriate for everyone. So maybe that's my stuff. I don't know. Maybe if I'm more transparent, I'll learn more. I don't know, but I'm figuring it out, y'all. I'm on a journey.
I definitely hear that. I think I, I also agree with and identify with having different people in different spaces. So I do have, when I talk about sister circle, the main people who come to mind are, the 3 of us. We have like the text message chat and we get together we can virtually. But then I also have my mother and my mother-in-law. We just kind of made a sister circle recently. And then I have a circle of cousins, my women cousins, and then, a friend here, a friend here, a friend here. And the only thing I found it difficult to talk about is if I don't like someone's partner, but then I was like, well, I guess that should be hard to talk about. That's not really my place to be like, I really don't like this person for you, or this person doesn't treat you well. And I'm really fiercely protective of the people I love. So if I think someone's being mistreated, and sometimes they know they are, how somebody's like, oh, this person did this, this, and this. And I'm just like, what? And you didn't, why are you still there? So, but now that I'm married, I'm like, okay, if you're married to that person, I guess you just got to work that out. It's not my business. So maybe the thing that's preventing me, first of all, I guess it's not a conversation that I'm supposed to have that I'm not having. It's just a conversation that sits in the back of my head that I have to keep coming around to. Well, I can't say nothing because it's none of my business, but it gets tricky when somebody wants to bring their partner around, and I don't want that person, oh, let's all get together. And I'm like, let's not, basically because I don't like your partner. So that's difficult. And I don't know whether, like, how do you say that somebody's married to that person? Like, that's hard. It's different if it's somebody's boyfriend or girlfriend. Like, I'm quick to be like, no, that person's not invited. But if that's your spouse, like, that's hard. So I'm in a state of avoidance, I think, right now for a couple of people, but that is what it is.
Thank you for that reflection. That's the first time partner relationship have come up in regards to this question. So that's really insightful to consider.
Make sure you rate and review us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you stream our podcast. Your support and donations are greatly appreciated. Log on to anchor.fm/Lirae-journey for more details.
We would like to thank McKissick Health and Wellness for sponsoring the Lirae Journey podcast. Are you frustrated where your life is heading? Do you want to change your routine but don't know where to start? We know a company that will help you create a routine to create the lifestyle you want. McKissick Health and Wellness is a digital education company that specializes in providing adults with resources to develop habits that last and live healthier lives. Through programming, a magazine, and social campaigns, McKissick Health teaches you how to use your creativity, sense of innovation, and problem solving skills to foster better relationships, lifestyle practices, and achieve your goals one choice at a time. Learn more about their health and wellness lifestyle brands and social outreach when you visit mckissickhealth.com. That's McKissick health.com. Or follow them on social media at McKissick Health. So thank you again, McKissick Health and Wellness, for sponsoring the Lirae Journey podcast. Now back to the conversation.
So we're back with part 2 of the conversation with Dr. Tahira Mahdi, also Dr. 99, Kim Scott, Michelle Thurman, and Dr. Tammy Henderson, where we are discussing Black women on wellness, healing, and care with a focus on intergenerational and community perspectives. So first, we would like to know if there is something that you could either tell older Black women or Black girls on this topic, what would it be and why? And again, anyone can start.
You talk about self-care. I find that teaching younger women in school and then even and having an 11-year-old younger, it seems as though some of the younger people are kind of like doing much better than the older people. And like they're very clear about what their themselves, their autonomy, what they are and aren't going to do, and how they feel about it, and sharing how they feel about it. You know, kind of going back to the one of the very first comments, right? That, and I and very much more self-possessed, way more than I was when I was younger, or even when I was in my 20s. And I'm like, you feeling pretty good. Like you got your okay. Well, you don't. I was not in that place. So I think when I think about some of many of my women that I teach who are in their 20s, and then again, you know, kids as young as my daughter and her friend groups who are 10, 11-year olds. They seem to kind of be they seem good. They seem, I'm not saying they're on the, but they're certainly way more vocal. I think the older women, they're it's still kind of that, you know, uh don't ask, don't tell. And you know, you're not doing your don't tell people you got a therapist. That means something, that I'm like, what does that mean? Like, I don't know. Tell me. You tell me what it means. So there is that that I get from the older generation. But yeah, so it's really interesting. I think I see them kind of like on these I don't know what a pendulum almost, or these maybe a very weird continuum. But yeah.
Okay, I'll jump in now. I think so. My research is examining oral histories to understand how women in rural communities experienced Jim Crow segregation, and so one of the things that I'm learning from a lot of these oral histories is that I think it goes back to what you were saying, Dr. Henderson, about the authenticity and being okay, and like it's okay to talk about things that were taboo to talk about before. I think if I were talking to the seasoned saints, right, our elders, I would say that it's okay. Like, we need you to be authentic. You are our example, and we need to see you, even if it's just in our space, right? Even if it's just us, we need to see that, because that gives us permission to be fallible, to be, not perfect. So I think that that's what I would encourage them to do. And it's a struggle, because there's so many things that impede on they're being able to be authentic, and a lived experience. And then there are others who are just out there, like, it is what it is. I've reached that age point. I don't care what you think about me, right? But younger people, I think, need to see that. I know I do. Um, and so that's what I would encourage them to be, is just try to give us that, like, share that with us, that authenticity, that, yeah, I made mistakes and I did these things and it's okay and you'll survive and it'll be better tomorrow. I mean, I think we, especially as Black women, and, I'm raising two teenage daughters now, and, an elementary schooler, girls. And, um, yeah, there's a lot. These kids are being hit with a lot of information that's very difficult for them to digest. And so for them, that's why I think, because I'm trying to tell them, be authentic, be you, you're okay, show up how you are. You don't have to be what you see. You can be that person that stands out. Well, they don't want to stand out. And I tell them, you were created to stand out, not to blend in, but they don't want that. And I think that to have the elders saying to them, yeah, that's what you want, and to encourage that would be so powerful. So I love the idea of bridging the elders with the young people, not us, like our age group, but the grandmas and the great aunts, and and those elders, to so they can be the example and show them that, hey, it really is better to just be who you are. Because then as you get into your 20s and 30s, you're trying to break those barriers. You're trying to break down those walls that you built up, and trying to figure out how to do it when they've already set the example. So that's what I would say on those ahead of me and those coming behind me, is that, um, I don't know, let's just show up together and just be who we are. If we can just be together in those spaces. It's rare to see the elders and young people in spaces together and just real, right? It's just rare. And I want that. And I've tried to create those opportunities, but it's really difficult, especially with COVID. But it's really difficult to do that. But anyway,
Yeah, I agree. I would say, dear older Black woman, I apologize that you didn't quite experience self care. I apologize that you were too busy working and you didn't really have the privilege or the opportunity to have space or even identify what self care was, because you were so busy raising your family. You were so busy trying to bring money into the household. I'm sorry that you didn't experience self care. But please don't judge me, because that I have now identified that, and that my child and your grandchild now knows how to have a moment and slow down and be mindful and be present and do things that is considered self-care. So don't judge me. I can learn from you. It was something that you had, and let's do this together. Let's learn from one another, because I'm learning from my daughter. I've learned from you. I've been blessed to be on panels that have asked this question, how did your mother show you self-care? And I was like, I had to think about that. I was like, you know what, she was always working. You know, especially as we think about school and like, what was your experience? There's some of your peers that may have had their parents sit down and do, help them with their homework. My mom was flipping hamburgers. She one, didn't have the education or had the time. She was always busy. She wasn't there. And I'm like, wow, like, I don't know. I think I just figured it out, and so that wasn't my experience. But okay, her self-care was like, when she had a day off, she would party. That was her self-care. But as we evolve, as a people, we see that now the kids in their curriculum is yoga, is mindfulness, so things are just changing for the better as it relates to self-care, and thank God that it does. This question makes me also think about Dr. Joy DeGruy's book, Post-Traumatic Slave Syndrome, and how we are still doing things that are related to past, generational traumas that we don't quite understand. It wasn't our experience, but it keeps getting passed down. And then just bringing that into perspective and being able to understand what's going on, right? Like, we'll be doing things and just have to kind of step out of it, reflect, be present, think about it all, and like, what does this all, what does this all mean? But this whole self-care journey is complex. And I'm hopeful and I'm happy to see that it is being perpetuated, in a positive light. But I do see that our older generations, they don't quite get it. And at times there's jealousy. I see it show up in my mom, where I'll do things with my daughter and it's like, it feels like, wow, she's jealous. And then it's like, okay, don't take it personal. It's probably just something that she probably wished she had. So try to figure it out some way, but like, don't internalize it, and just kind of keep moving toward that, because I see the impact of us also being a teacher to her, being a teacher to our older elders, of that it can be better. And as long as you're living, you still have an opportunity to do better.
Thank you for that. Michelle brought up elders and being fallible, and you have to show us, be honest with us about what they went through, so that frees us to, make mistakes and admit them and talk about that kind of stuff. And then Kim, you talked about recognizing what they went through, why they do these things they do, even if they don't know why. They just had to. They had to survive and keep it together to bring us up. And those were things I was thinking about. My first book that I wrote when I was 20 is called God Laughs Too. And I wrote it out of partially because of a frustration that the older women I was meeting, they'd meet me and say, oh, you're a bright young woman, you're really smart, you should be doing this, 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 you should be doing blah, blah, blah. But they were saying it, say what they were elders in their church, or they were high up in their organization, they had worked their way up. But the way they spoke to me was as if they had never done anything wrong in their lives. They've been perfect angels. Everything's been so great. They've always been responsible. This is where I am now. This is what you should do. I remember somebody telling me like, oh, I don't even like the taste of alcohol. I was like, well, what you talking to me for? I like wine. I like whiskey. You know what I mean? Like, so that's not the way to communicate with me, telling me what I should and shouldn't be doing. But writing this book kind of freed me and gave me a conversation piece, even to give to young women, having a main character who's 21, who's making a lot of mistakes, but talks to God in her head and has kind of like a dialogue with God in her head while she's making mistakes, experiencing God's grace. It's a very short book. And, even at the end, deciding for herself, getting out of a relationship and going, oh, okay, maybe I should stop smoking weed. Okay, but that's a decision she had to make. It's not like, somebody had to tell her to do this and she's going to follow what the church lady said or whatever, because that's not real. And, that's not how I was relating to people I was mentoring. But now I'm so blessed to always make sure that keeping God in my life and making sure for all the mistakes I make, for the drinking I do, for the cussing I may have done, people are still knowing like that doesn't mean you don't have a relationship with God. And being that authentic self to older women, I don't want to say weeded people out, but maybe attracted the right people to me who are so fully themselves and tell me about things that they've done. And, even like establishing a relationship with my mother-in-law, where there's conversations we have about stuff that my husband doesn't even know about. And he'll be like, what are you talking about? But, she and I can just be free to have like really good conversations together. But if I were to tell older women, because I'm having this conversation with them recently where they still can't display any vulnerability. And I'm like, don't you just want a good cry sometimes? And they're like, cry? No, like who would cry? My mother was like, then I have a headache for the rest of the night. No, I ain't gonna cry. Suppose I go completely crazy. I never come back from the cry. I'm like, come on. So something like that, where I would want them to experience like I can be vulnerable, but then also stay in that creative space where they still create these goals for themselves, but love doesn't really come into it. So it's almost like, you could still find a really good relationship at this stage in life. Oh, I don't know. Okay, maybe, so that's something I would say is be vulnerable. I'm, be vulnerable enough to talk about your mistakes, and then also be vulnerable enough to open yourself up to love once again at this age.
Can I offer just another perspective? It may not be another, just a thought that I had that came up as you all were talking. Um, and we're having this conversation about self-care, but self-care is really a privilege. Healing is a privilege. Wellness is a privilege. And everyone has not been privileged. Like we sit in a place of privilege just to be able to have the luxury of thinking about it, right? To be able to say, oh, I can make these choices for my wellness and my care, and we have to honor that and acknowledge that there are many who existed before us and with us, right? And will come after us who won't have those privileges. So, how do we support them? And how do we make this work for them? How do we make it work for everybody? And I know we're all community oriented on this call, and I'm solution focused. I'm a social worker. So, I mean, I'm just like, I love this conversation, but I want to also bring in those voices of people who don't have the privilege of being able to think about these things like we do. Um, I just needed to acknowledge that. Sorry, that came to me, and I just had to say it out loud to honor. Because Kim, when you talked about the judgment piece, that's kind of where it comes from. It's that, and I'm making an analysis. I can't say that that's exact. This is my opinion, but it feels like it comes from a place of how dare you tell me, how dare you behave that way when I never had the opportunity to do that. I never had the freedom and the privilege to be that. And so that just came up for me. So sorry, thought I would share.
No, I agree with you. I mean, I think I said that too. Is it was a privilege. People didn't have the opportunity or the means to do it, or even the time to do it. So I agree with you so much, Michelle.
That's awesome. And another question was, what drives you guys, and what does your phrase common unity mean to you?
Oh, I'll start. So, what drives me, and I think I keep talking about it because it's just part of me, are my elders and my ancestors who invested something for me to be in this space. And giving voice to their experiences is what it pushes me. Um, because I believe that there's healing in understanding their experience for us and generations to come. And rural Black women in particular have been voiceless and still are voiceless. And um, the struggle is not over. And the struggle is very much steeped in their racialization. And so that's what motivates me. They are some of the most brilliant and caring and loving people in the world. And not many people have the opportunity to experience that. And so, yeah, that's what motivates me. I want wellness for them. I want wellness for all of us. I want healing. And yeah, that's my motivation. And I guess that common unity, Kim, your common unity, that's where that comes. I want it for everybody. And I'm determined to make it happen for everybody. And I just think they hold the secret. I don't know where it is. I'm going to find it, but I'll let y'all know when I find it.
Absolutely. Common unity, community is, we're all human. We all want to be loved. We all want to have our necessities met. We all want security. We all want comfort. We all want belonging. There's so much that we have in common. And that as Black women, that's my passion, is like my community. We have a shared experience, and yes, we can all be Black, and you could have lived a very privileged and wealthy life, and you could have been on welfare, whatever it is. But at the core of who we are as human beings, we all want the same thing. And that wherever your position is in life, your status is, I can learn, I could get something from you. And that's that circle that you talk about, to and from. That as people, we already have it hard enough from others, that as a community of Black women, it should be rooted. And I have a passion for that, living that every day, being able to acknowledge every woman that I see that looks like me, regardless of if I say hi and she's not gonna say it. I have to just get it. I can't be worried about if you don't return the hi and get all mad. No, that's not what it's better to give than to receive. So I'm gonna give that out and project that out because that's what I want. That's what I want for my community. That's what I want to teach my daughter, that's your sister, regardless of your blood or not, that's your sister. And let's let love conquer all. And right now there's so much hate. There's so much disregard for life, that it blows my mind. But I do believe that love conquers all. I do believe that we can raise up a generation that is seated, and we see it now, that things like, oh my God, love is love, right? Wow, yeah, love is love. That's what God says it is. Whether you love your woman and you love a woman, you're a man, you love a man, yeah, I know what the Bible says. Love is whosoever, that's everybody. So if we come from a place of love, then we can knock down the barriers. And my passion is for my people.
So thank y'all again for taking the time out. So if you would like to share with sisters and other folks, your contact, your social media, may you please share?
Facebook is what I check the most. And I think I'm Kimberly J. Scott or Kimberly Scott on that. For Instagram and LinkedIn, it's Kim_J_Scott. And then Kim at KimJScott.com.
I can be reached on Instagram at Carefree Doctor, I believe. That's all one word, Carefree Doctor, on Instagram.
I'm on Twitter at Tahira Mahdi, TAHIRA MAHDI, and also my website, tahiramahdi.com.
So I'm terrible with social media. The only one that I really think I know is LinkedIn, Michelle C. Sermon, because my sister-in-law is Michelle Sermon. So yeah, one of us will show up if you type it in, search it. I don't know. I despise it. I'm only in for the jokes and the funny videos.
Thank you, Michelle, Dr. 99, and Kim Scott for sharing your journey and reflections on wellness, healing, and care. Listeners, if there's anything that registered with you, we'd like to know. You can connect with me, Hannah, on Instagram and Facebook at AfroGirl by Hannah, and my personal allhail_Hannah.
And you can connect with me, Sherella, on Twitter or Instagram at Lirae Journey, and we'll leave all the links in the description box below. So as always, love is real and eternal. In community, peace.